Good morning, students. In today's class of Managing Change in Organization, we'll start with a new topic, that is the change process. In the previous class, we have studied about the various key rules that are present while doing a change process or initiating a change process. The key rules that we have discussed in the couple of two previous classes is that there is a change agent, the support team, then it will be the change management team, the project managers, the business leadership, and the participants. So these are the major key roles that are included in the change process. These people are responsible for seeing that the change is properly implemented and executed in the organization. Each of these roles consist of various responsibilities that has to be taken seriously and has to be performed completely to see that the change process is flawlessly and smoothly implemented in the organization. So after understanding the what is the change and what is organizational change, what are the force and what are the key roles in organizational change, now is the time has come to understand what is the change process. The change process, what we are discussing today, is a general way in which the change should be implemented in the organization. And obviously each organization has to can make this customizations, can include certain other steps also. So this is a general change process that we are going to study in present class. So we'll start with the change process. The change process. Change occurs as a process and not as an event. This means that change cannot be happening immediately once something has been announced that we are going to implement a change. It is a process, it will take time. So this is not an event, so it will not happen instantaneously. So it is very important to understand that change is a process and this is not an event. Next, organization does not happen instantaneously because there was an announcement for initiating change in your, as we have discussed already, that will not happen instantaneously and it will take time. It takes time to implement the change. It takes time to make an action plan before implementing the change. It consists of various steps that has to be taken into consideration before properly implementing the change in the organization. By breaking the change down into distinct phases, one can better customize and tailor the approach to ensure that individuals successfully adopt the change initiative. So the whole change uh, initiative is divided into various distinct phases or stages, so that one can better understand the various stages and how the change actually occurs in the organization, and also understand, not only understand the change process but also customize or tailor-made the change as per the requirement of the organization. It is very important to see that the employees of the organization accept or embrace the change. If they do not embrace the change, then it will lead to a lot of problems and the change initiative will not be successful in the organization. It is for this reason that the whole change, organizational change, is divided into these distinct phases or stages in order to see and understand the various stages and to see that the proper implementation of the change process happens. The change process is the sequence or steps or activities that a change management team or change agent must follow to implement the change and to ensure that the change initiative meets its intended outcomes. So when we are saying what is a change process, thus we can say that change process is a sequence of steps or activities. So it is a sequence of steps. That means each steps will be happening after the another. So it's a sequence of step or activities that the change agent or the change management team has to take together and to see that if there is proper implementation of change in the organization. And also this is important to understanding the change process and also to see that the change process actually meets the various intended outcomes. So the reasons for which the change was initiated in the organization, the objective of the change process, that must be realized. The change process ensures that the objective is realized because it divides the whole change process into various sequential steps or phases. So it will be better, it will be easier and better for the employees to understand and embrace the change properly in the organization. The change process can be summarized as consisting of 9 stages. So as I have already told that this is a general process, so it again can be divided into further steps and can be modified as per the requirement of the organization. But this is the general 9 steps of the stages that are generally followed when we say that what is the change process of an organizational change. So these are the 9 stages that sequential steps or activities or stages that occurs when we say the change process is there. First is becoming aware of the pressure for change. First, an organization has to understand that there is a requirement for change, and they should make this requirement is evident to the organization. This may be due to the forces of change which we have discussed in the previous classes. Then comes recognizing the need for change. Once we understand there is a need for change, we have to also understand how far that forces of change is impact the organization, and we can recognize how and what type of change is required for the organization. Once we understand why the change is required, then we have to diagnose the problem of the organization. We have to see that why the organization is failing to not meeting its objectives, what can be done to see that the organization understands the change initiative. So in this stage, we generally diagnose the problem that is existing in the organization. Then comes planning the change. This is consisting is one of the most important part of the change process because it consists of making an action plan for the change to see how the change will be properly implemented. It is the stage where we have to decide the way in which we want to implement the change and to see that who will the people that who will be the flag bearers of the change. So planning the change is the most important stage of the change process. Then comes select right interventions to foster change. We have to decide of various interventions that will help as a catalyst to foster change in the organization. Then we have to generate an action plan. The planning, the change, this is an extension of that where we have to make an actual implementable action plan where we'll be highlighting people who will be understanding and taking the change forward, who will be bearing the responsibility for the change, how to see where is there is resistance in the organization or not, understand that how this resistance has to be removed. All these things come under the generating an action plan. Then enhance the skills in dealing with change. Whenever a change program is initiated or a change process initiated, it is done in order to take the organization from the present state to a future desired state. So by when we are thinking of taking the people of the organization or the organization from the present state to the future state, obviously there's a very certain learning, that is training that is required in order to see that the skills are properly there in order to deal with change. So we have to enhance the skills of the employees in order to see that they will be able to handle the change much more properly. Then comes implementing the change. We have to see how the change has to be implemented. We have to see what set goals. We have to see how far the implementation of this change program is done properly. We have to see how far the implementation is done flawlessly by removing all the resistance to change. So it is also one of the important steps of the change process. And finally, we have to follow up the change. In the following up of the change, we have to see how far the change process that is implemented successfully has been able to realize the objectives that we have set initially, to see how far these objectives are fulfilled. If there is certain problem in the implementation phase, we have to understand and the implementation bottlenecks. We have to also evaluate the change process in relation with the objectives of the intended objectives or outcomes of the change process, so that we can understand where the problem lies. We can also take steps to remove these obstacles, remove these bottlenecks in order to see that the change process is properly implemented in the organization. So the following of the upon the change gives an idea that how far the change that we had uh, decided to bring out the results, whether it is successful or not, whether our initiative, our endeavor of implementing the change in the organization has been successful or not. So these are the various stages that we are going to discuss Now we'll start with each and every one by one step. So the first step that we are going to discuss is becoming aware of the pressure of the change, pressure for change. First is, most organizational changes are carried out in response to or in anticipation of pressures from inside or outside the organization. So most organization change happens because it is either a response, reaction to, or in anticipation or expectation of potential forces of change. It may be from within the organization, forces of organization, or outside the organization, but outside factors that affect the organization. With these inside and outside forces, we have discussed in the previous class, that is the forces of change chapter. We have discussed what are the various inside and outside pressures that is put on the organization. Then within the firm, conflicts arise, employees retire or resign, and pressures mount as the organization outgrows its old ways of doing things. So when we say some of the internal forces have been explained here, given here, within the organization, there may be conflicts, there may be employees, the new employee, new leadership will be coming, the old people will be resigning, the old way of doing things will be changing, there may be technological change. So the various inside the pressures may be mounted as the organization has to change. So see, the organization feels that they have to change in order to bring new proper strategies into play. Then the organization, due to this internal forces of change, they may be encouraged to initiate change in the organization. Outside the organization, technological innovation act as a powerful trigger for change. So government regulation change, technological innovation, and others are some of the external forces of change that impact the organization. And these are we have to understand the internal and the external forces of change that puts a pressure on the organization, because only due to this internal and external forces of change, the organization carries out the change program either in response or in anticipation of these pressures of change. Pressures like these, or the anticipation of such pressures, the demand change in the structure, technology, and people in the organization. This makes the organization aware that there is a particular change is required in the organization, and they should take initiative in order to see that the change is properly initiated in the organization. So this is the first stage. And now coming to the second stage, important stage, that is recognizing the need for change. Once we are aware that change is required, then we have to recognize how the change and what is the need of the change in the organization. Becoming aware of the need is not enough. Managers should also recognize the need for change. So not only we should be aware that a particular change is needed, we also have to recognize the various need for change, the manager. For example, if we take an example, we have given an example here, a marketing manager who recognizes the need for change should come up with the factors that affect change. Okay, so the marketing manager who understands there is a need for change in the organization has to also come up with the various factors that affect the change, like it may be marketing forecast, new expectations of product, new potential market, the socio-economic change, the key technological breakthrough, etc. So these are the certain things, certain factors that affect the industry, that affect the market, the target market. So the marketing manager has to understand that these are the reasons why the change is required in the organization, and then they will try to decide what change initiative has to be taken and how the change initiative has to be implemented in the organization. So first, the marketing manager, as explained in this example, has to understand the various factors that leads to need for change of the organization. So the marketing manager has to recognize the need for change and the factors that is resulting for this need for change. So he has to understand why the change should be initiated or why the change is required in the organization. This is very important uh, for the marketing manager, and is from in the example. And also from the organization point of view, the organization's change agent or person who will be dealing with the change, the upper management, they should understand the recognize the need for change. So this is very important. The manager tends to initiate change because he recognizes the need for change and deems it necessary for the growth and development of the organization. So not only that the manager recognizes the change, but also they understand that it is necessary that for the growth and development of the organization, they have to initiate that particular change in the organization. So they are also aware of the fact that this change is highly required if you want to see that there is proper growth and development in the organization. So this is the second step. Now coming to the third step, that is the diagnosing the problem. So before implementing the change, before deciding the action plan for change, before planning the change, one thing that is very important to understand after becoming aware and understanding or recognizing the need for change, we have to understand the problem that is existing in the organization. We have to diagnose the problem to understand what would be the probable cure for that particular problem. Recognizing that change is need is not enough, change is needed is not enough. The managers must diagnose the pressure for change, be it impending bankruptcy or a new technology, to determine how it may affect the company and what consequences will be. So not only that, they have to recognize, they have to understand the problem that is existing in the organization. It may be an impending bankruptcy. The organization may not be doing well financially. So they may be moving towards bankruptcy. So it may be the impending bankruptcy that is a problem, or the change that the problem may be that a new technology has come up and the organization has to embrace that new technology in order to be remaining competitive in the market. So these are the some of the problems that may be existing in the organization, and the manager has to understand and diagnose the problem that is existing in the organization, so as to devise a plan, a cure for this problem. For diagnosing the problem, various models are available. So there may be various models, 3-4 models are there, which can be 3 to 5 models are there, which can be used in order to see whether the particular organization is having any problem or not, in order to diagnose the problem that is existing in the organization. So these are the ways, methods or models that are centrally implemented in order to understand, to diagnose the problem that is existing in the organization. The first is interviews. Interviews helps management probe freely into a range of possible subjects and build rapport and support for the imminent change program. So the interview is one of the ways which helps the management to probe or to understand freely by asking question, understand a range of possible subjects. So they will decide the possible subject, the possible respondents, and they will probe them by asking them questions. It will help the management to understand the problem that is existing in the organization. So they have to also build rapport and support with the immediate change program. So this will help in not only bringing rapport, but also these people will be supporting the imminent change program. So they will understand the organization is taking interest in the change process. They will understand that the management wants to see that there is a proper change in the organization, to see that the organization moves from the present situation to a future desired situation. So interviews gives an idea to the management to understand what the employees feel about the problem in order to diagnose the problem, and then also to build rapport and support with the employees, so that whenever the imminent change program starts, then there will be minimum resistance from these employees. So interviews is one of the ways for diagnosing the problem existing in the organization. Then comes questionnaires. Questionnaires are relatively easy to use with large number of employees, and the resultant information can be quantified and easily summarized. Interview method is generally possible in companies or organizations where the number of people are very low. So each and every member of the organization, employee of the organization, can be interviewed and can be probed in order to understand the diagnose the problem existing in the organization. Whereas when it comes to questionnaire, this is relatively easy to use when the number of people are more. It is generally cost effective and also time effective. What happens? The resultant information also that we are getting in questionnaire, this information can be quantified and easily summarized. This is also one of the some of the advantages of the questionnaire method. In the questionnaire method, questions are being set and given to these various respondents. The respondents fill in the questionnaire and give back to the management, so the management can understand in a solid way the how people are answering a particular question. They will understand to diagnose the problem properly, and this information, this can be easily quantified, put into numbers, and it can be easily summarized in order to know this much percentage of people having this view, or this is the general idea of the people, or whether they are understanding the problem, what is the problem, what should be done in order to remove these problems. All these things can be done. However, making questionnaires is very difficult. Steps should be taken to see that this questionnaire is made properly, and this questionnaire is made properly so that the problem can be properly diagnosed that is existing in the organization. So this is another method that can be used for diagnosing the problem. Apart from these two, for diagnosing the problem, survey data can also be used, because survey data can also be a good starting point for gaining employees' commitment to the change and for analyzing alternative solution. So survey is done and the survey data is taken in. This is done generally to understand what is the employees' commitment towards change, how far the employment are looking forward to the change, and how they will, whether they will be participating and embracing the change properly. And also it gives a lot of alternative helps in analyzing the alternative solutions. These may be that is there in the organization, the employees may be giving these alternative solutions. So by doing the survey data method, using the survey data method, we'll be able to understand the employees commitment and also analyze the various alternative solutions available to the organization in order to diagnose the problem and to understand the various solutions to the particular problem existing in the organization. Then comes observing the employees. Observing the employees produces data regarding the actual behavior, and this is in real time. So they will understand how far the people in the organization are facing the problem, and what is the problem that is existing in the organization, and how far these people are ready to embrace the change in the organization. This is very important. And then finally, secondary data such as employee turnover or productivity can be used to quantify the problem. So there may be use of this secondary apart from the primary data which we have discussed in the 4 points previous in a precedingly. They may be also taking secondary data such as employee turnover or productivity. So in order to get an idea that or to quantify idea about the problem that is existing in the organization, and also to quantify the problem, to understand how far this problem is creating a dent in the bottom line of the organization. So this is very important to understand. So these are the few methods that is being utilized by the organization in order to diagnose the problem, in order to see how what is the problem, and then they will be able to come up with alternative solutions and the change initiatives that may be implemented in the organization to remove this problem. So this is the third stage in the change process. Then comes the fourth stage of the change process, that is the planning the change. This is one of the most important steps of the change process. The next step is to formulate a strategy for change. Organizations must choose between evolutionary and revolutionary change. So here the strategy for change is formulated. The various strategies, the various steps are devised. A blueprint for change is generally meant, is prepared. And the organization here has to decide whether they want to go with evolutionary change or revolutionary change. A firm that pursues revolutionary change adopts a top-down change strategy. So any firm that uses a revolutionary change, they will adopt a top-down change strategy where the top management will be taking initiative, and they will say that this change is required in the organization, and this they will make this strategy, and this strategy will come from the upper management, and then it will go down to the last, the various stages or the various levels of employees in the organization. The organization waits until it believes that the cost of not changing exceeds the cost of overcoming the organizational inertia, and then introduces its master plan for change. So what happens here? The organization waits here. It waits that unless and until they believe that the cost of not changing, so if the organization is not changing, so what loss or what cost it is incurring to the organization, this cost must be exceeding the cost of overcoming the organizational inertia. So what is the cost of implementing the change, of overcoming the organizational inertia or the resistance, so that this cost must be overcome, must exceed by the cost of not changing. So if you are not changing, what is the cost to the organization? This cost must exceed the cost of the organization, overcoming organizational inertia. So then they will feel that yes, it is the time, it is required that we have to implement a change initiative. Then they will introduce their master plan for change. It is the work of the top management. They will be initiating the change in the revolutionary change process. Then generally a top-down strategy, change strategy, calls for intervention at the highest level of an organization. So the intervention starts at the highest level of the organization, where the highest level of the organization prepares the organization to uh, prepares the organization for a change program. Winding up divisions or departments and downsizing are examples of this type of change. So here the organization, if they feel that a particular department or a particular division is not properly functioning, they feel that the employees are not are in higher numbers and there is no need for having so much employees, downsizing also can be done. So these are the ways in which examples of revolutionary change that happens, where the top management decides how the change has to be takes place, and if we want to make the change process initiation, how this can be done by winding up departments or division or downsizing the number of employees working in the organization. Then comes the evolutionary change. So in contrast to revolutionary change, evolutionary change depends on bottom up change strategy. So here the change, whatever change is required, it is decided in the bottom of the company. The people, employees in the bottom of the company, they understand that there is a need for change, and this they are escalated, and this problem is escalated, and they understand that there is a top management finally understand that a change should be, initiative should be started in order to implement the change in the organization. Managers believe that uncertainty associated with organizational change is best managed through an incremental process in which they continually make adjustments to their strategy and structures. So the managers generally believe that the uncertainty associated with the organizational change, whenever we say that organizational change has to be implemented, there is a particular uncertainty, certain fear attached with it, because it is fear of the unknown. They don't, the employees do not know that if the change is initiated, if the change is implemented, what impact it will put on the employees, their working environment, their working life. So generally the people are uncertain, and this uncertainty associated with the organization change is best managed through this incremental process of evolutionary change, and this is done by making continual adjustments in the existing strategy and structure. So whatever the strategy and structure that is existing in the organization, this little bit adjustments are made to see that the strategy is properly formed, takes shapes, and this helps the organization to implement change in the organization. Firms opting for bottom-up change strategy prepare the organization for change by involving managers and employees at all levels, and in discussing the need for change and diagnosing the problems facing the organization. So in the bottom-up change strategy, the people are prepared for change. The managers and employees at each level, they discuss the need for change and then diagnose the problem that is being faced by the organization. So after understanding the diagnosis of the change, diagnosis of the problem that is existing in the organization, they will decide about the what should be done in order to implement change, what is the intervention that has to be introduced, what is the way the change initiative has to be implemented in the organization, and they should make various plans and strategies for that. And employees and managers at all levels, they discuss the need, the for the change, they discuss, they diagnose the problem, they also come up with the strategy in order to implement the change. So in this stage they generally do the planning of the change to see how far the change can be properly implemented in later stages. QQM is in total quality management, is an example of evolutionary change. Then planning for change involves ascertaining whether or not employees are ready for change. So in the planning for change, it is the role of the change agent or the manager to understand, to ascertain whether or not the employees are ready for a change, whether the if a change initiative is started, whether the employees will be accepting the change or not. The best of planning strategies and initiatives for change fail to produce results if employees are unwilling to accept and cooperate. So the best of the change initiatives will never bear any results because the people, they may be unwilling to accept or cooperate the change initiative. When the people or the while studying the key roles in the organizational change, there is a point, last point we have decided, we have discussed, that is the participants. The participants are not nothing but the employees of the organization. We said that participants play a key role in the organizational change. So here the participants means the employees, and these employees have to accept and cooperate in the change initiative. They should be interested to accept this change initiative, otherwise the change initiative will not succeed and will lead to failure. It is very important to understand that people naturally resist change. So the first thing that we have to understand while implementing a change process is to see that every individual in its normal way, natural way, they resist change, because when we are going to change something, then we are disturbing the status quo, and this is very difficult for the employees because they have developed a habit of working in the particular work environment, and the particular way of working life that is there in the organization, they are accustomed to it. So whenever we are going to make changes, then there will be sea change in this working environment of the employee, and the employees, they have to undergo certain skill training on order to accept the or to be able to deal with the change. So it is the so it is a normal thing, natural thing, that the employees generally resist change. The managers should understand that. Then steps should be taken in order to curb this natural resistance to change and make people understand and accept the change initiative. So once we understand, we accept that there is a resistance to change is very natural, then we have to come up with steps in order to remove these obstacles of natural resistance to change, and also to make people understand and accept change. Whenever the employees are understanding that the change initiative is needed for the survival of the organization and the for the betterment of the organization and the employees, then they will accept the change. So this understanding has to be passed on to these employees and should see that the accept the change initiative. The manager or the change agent has to set goals for the proposed change initiative. Here whoever who is the change agent or the manager, they has to set goals for the proposed change initiative. These goals are set up in the planning the change stage. In this planning stage of the change initiative, the manager or the change agent has to set very real practical goals that are achievable goals for the proposed change initiative. Then the goal set by this manager or the change agent acts as a fuel to bring about the proposed change in the organization. So at the planning of the stage, when goals are prepared, that what is the goals or the objectives that we want to achieve by implementing the change in this organization, then this goal that is being set by the manager or the change agent will act as the fuel or will propel the organization to accept the change and to initiate the proposed change in the organization. So uh, these are the four steps, the first initial four steps that we have discussed today. Remaining five steps we'll be discussing in the next class. Please go through the video. I will be sending you the notes digitally. If you have any doubts, please contact me. No need to panic. Please stay at home, be prepared, and finally, thank you for your attention.